Let's go ahead and get started. Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Autodesk Virtual Academy, brought to you by your friends here at KETIV Technologies. My name is Nigel Mbayak. I'm one of the customer success managers here at KETIV Technologies. And this morning, I'm joined by application engineer Nikhil Venkat. Nikhil, how's it going?
Good, Nigel. How are you doing?
Good, good. Um, so, just a little bit of background on Nikhil and what we're going to be going over today. Like I mentioned, Nikhil's one of the application engineers here on our team, works primarily on our post sales team. So odds are, if you've worked on a project with us, Nikhil's probably touched it or seen it in some shape or form. But Nikhil is also one of our instructors here at KETIV for just about everything. But one thing that sets him apart from a lot of the other instructors at our team is Nikhil specializes a lot in the simulation aspect of the business. And so that includes things like Nastran, that includes things like CFD, as well as Moldflow here as well, which is why Nikhil's going to be showing us what's new in Moldflow 2021. There's a lot of exciting new features and some new functionality in the application that are pretty game changing for the people who do use it each and every day. I'm sure Nikhil will go over what Moldflow is, as well, for those of you who may not be familiar with the software and what it does do for you. And kind of just go over what the new things are and how excited he is to share this with the user base. Nikhil, anything else to add there?
Yes. So these features have been a long time coming. The last release of Moldflow, the last full release of Moldflow was in 2019, just much like CFD. So for users that um, have been using the software quite a bit, this is going to be a lot of new features, a lot of new improvements. So you know, just excited to share these new features. And like I said, it's been a long time coming. So a lot of the requests that we've received over the last couple of years are actually in this new release. So as Nigel mentioned, my name is Nikhil Venkat. I am the simulation specialized and also the Moldflow specialized application engineer here at KETIV. Now, for those of you that are not aware of the software itself, Moldflow is the injection molding simulation software from Autodesk. There are two flavors of Moldflow. There's two versions of it. There is the Advisor, which is more of a designer's tool. It's meant for the designer. And then on, if you want a little more, I don't want to use the word insight because the product is called Insight. But if you want a little more detail, if you want to look at it from a process standpoint and not just a design standpoint, then there is also the option of using Moldflow Insight. Now, a lot of the features that we'll be talking about today do have to do with Moldflow Insight and do have to do with the process side of things. Having said that, we are going to touch on some of the changes to Moldflow Advisor as well. Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time going through the PowerPoint. I want to jump into the software as quickly as possible. So really quickly, some key improvements here. The first one that users will see if you've been using this um, actively, then you will notice that the simulation job manager is gone, and that has now been replaced by what is called a simulation compute manager. And the nice part is it is web browser based, and it works based simply off of a login. If you've run into issues with the job manager in the past, with it interfering with your network and not being able to um, find the license or not being able to log in, all of that is going to be eliminated now. Excuse me. And you now have um, you're now looking at the simulation compute manager, which again, like I mentioned, is web based, is web browser based. So it's kind of decoupled from your system, and you don't have to worry about that little icon blinking or blinking away in your system tray. So we'll talk about all of these in a little more detail. I just want to give you a quick overview of the key improvements and the key features. Next one being the automated the automatic packing profile that is now available in Moldflow 2021. So what this does is give you it displays an automated an optimized um, pack and hold profile at the end of running the flow analysis, and it's especially useful when you want to try and transfer your simulation settings directly onto the machine, onto your molding machine, right? So uh, this gives you a lot more. insight into what's going on in this phase of the analysis, and you previously didn't have this option. So it would this is one of those features that gives you additional power that you didn't have previously. Next one is something that we've been hearing a lot from users, is improvements in the 3D sync mark results. The sync mark results previously were uh, you were able to capture most large features, but if you had um, shallow features, if you had wide rib features, then you wouldn't be able to see, or you weren't able to see those sync marks on the opposite side. And now with these improvements, you're now able to see visualize better the 3D sync mark results. Now this is one of the more visual and the more obvious things that you will see, and that is the new visualization option. So you don't just have that one single or one or two little plots in there, one types of plots that gives you different color schemes based on um, you know red being higher values and blue being lower values. That rainbow plot, quote unquote. You now have a whole bunch of different options to visualize your results, and this is geared partly towards even the visually impaired. So um, if you did want to look at results in a different manner, if you want to do identify flow patterns and other results, and um, want to kind of isolate them visually, then you'll now be able to do that. Now again, these are the kind of the you know 50,000 foot view of all the improvements. There are a few other improvements in here as well. There's a lot more material grades, of course, as is the case with every Moldflow release. There are updated materials, and there's about, I believe, 11,500 materials in there. So yeah, that makes it probably the most, well, definitely the most extensive material database out there. So chances are, if you have a material, you will be able to, or if you're trying to find a material, you will be able to see it inside that material database. If it is a custom material, however, you still do have the ability to put that into Moldflow, and you have support from us and from Autodesk as well in to help you do that. Additionally, there are changes and improvements to the API interface, the programming interface. So if you have, say, a custom reporting template, then there are improvements to that as well. In terms of the process, in terms of the types of mo- injection molding simulations you're able to run now, um, you can. One of the new processes is the reactive microcellular injection molding. Again, this is something um, that users have been asking for some time. So it's finally in there. So if you have had that need in the past, then you should be looking at Moldflow 2021, and go ahead and test that out in there. The two big ones that we'll be talking about today are, one, the retractable core pins. So when you have a core shift analysis, um, one of the one of the issues that or one of the things that was causing results issues in the results was the I the core pins being in there throughout the analysis. Now, what you have the ability to retract those core pins after a set amount of time, after a fixed amount of time, and you can specify what that time looks like. And I'll jump into the software really quick after this, and we'll go through what that workflow looks like. And then the other absolutely huge one is the polyurethane foaming solver. That is something that, again, we've been hearing a lot of users ask about, and it's really something that's been in the making for some time now. So you do have the ability now to um, to run polyurethane foam in simulations in Moldflow as well, and we'll look at one of those studies momentarily. Okay, so without further ado, I do want to get out of this PowerPoint environment and get started with the software and the improvements. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the simulation compute manager, right? So you'll see that there's a bunch of studies running right now. Um, some of them have failed, etc. But this is your this is what replaces the simulation job manager, right? It used to be a little window uh, that popped up from the system tray, this golden S that you would see in the system tray. That's now gone away, and instead, this is what's going to be controlling um, and managing all of your studies. So I'm currently running all of these on the cloud, but if you were running something locally, then you can see that on here as well. And then I'm running everything on the cloud. And the nice part is you can actually break this down. Let's say you look at this one right here. You can actually break this down and you'll see your two different processes that are involved in solving the problem. Number one, the meshing. So you can look at the meshing log, and there you go. That's done. And then you can look at the analysis log as well. All of this is happening outside of the Moldflow environment, so you're not trying to look through that little log window and scroll up and down trying to figure out what's going on there. This is also a lot. It makes it a lot easier to figure out and troubleshoot, figure out why something failed and troubleshoot. So this one, for instance, um, I put an injection location in an area that really wasn't connected to anything else. So what I did was run this analysis. The meshing, as you can see, is fully complete, right? You can look at the log and you see that's fully done. But the second portion of it, if you look at the log here, it tells you exactly what's wrong and says, well, here you've got the log that you can scroll through, and you very easily find out that there is no path for plastic to actually flow into that particular area, right? So it's one of those things that makes it a lot more easier to manage what's going on here, and you can also set up set up a network to say connect this to a server, etc. All of that happens within this compute manager. All right. Now, at any point, by the way, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or um, just raise your hand in there, and we can help answer that towards the end. Now, going back to what we were talking about earlier, the two big ones are the core, the retractable core pins, and the polyurethane foam. So I'm going to start with the core pins here, and I've got, let's drag this over real quick. There we go. So I've got a syringe over here, a syringe with a core, right? And this, I've run this in multiple different ways, but essentially there's one without retractable pins, and there's one with retractable pins. So the one without retractable pins, real quick, you can look at the fill time over here, and you see that the fill time says it's 0.85 seconds. But when you do have a retractable core, and the core is going to be retracting, I believe, after 0.8 seconds, um, that fill time changes slightly, right? So you do have small changes in this particular case. It is a simple enough model that we're not going to see too many changes, but um, the reality is you now have a lot more control over your results, right? Now, if you've ever set up a core shift analysis, you'll know one of the things that you'll have to do is set up your core constraints, right? You're going to fix the core um, in certain directions and not allow it to move, fix its motion really. And it's really simple how you would set up this retractable core setting, right? So if I go out of the results environment for a second, um, let me make my constraints visible here. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is I'll actually hide the syringe as well. So there we go. Those are our constraint. That's our core. All I'm going to do here is select that, right? Modify the property type, and I want to modify the boundary condition and not the body itself. And oops, go properties. There we go. So I want to modify the properties not of the core, but of the fixed nodal constraint. And I can change that to make it retractable. So I can just check this box, and it's going to be retractable, and it will retract after zero point 0.8 seconds. By default, by the way, by default, this box is going to be unchecked. And so if you don't specify this, you're just running a regular core shift analysis without retractable pins, um, without retractable cores. Now, if you did check this box, though, you will have to specify a retraction time, and that's going to impact your results downstream as well. Right now, I'll use the same model here to show you. Hang on, let me bring the right things back up here. All right, there we go. To show you what the new visualization options look like, this is what is called the rainbow plot. But you can always go in here to the plot properties and change it, right? So you can look at the optional. You can go into the optional settings tab and change the color map to, if you want a black body, for example, you change the entire color scheme, and you can see it, visualize this in an entirely different way. Similarly, you can go cool to warm, for instance. Um, so you've got this entire different visualization option in here, and this entirely different legend. Or if you want a simple traffic light plot, you know, good, okay, and bad, then run this traffic light plot here as well, right? So you've got a whole bunch of different options here in terms of visualizing your results, and depending on the type of analysis you're trying to run and the type of results you're trying to visualize, you can change what this visualization looks like here. Okay. Now the next thing that I want to talk about is something that, again, we've heard about quite a bit, and that is the uh, polyurethane foam, right? So I actually have an analysis still running over here, but I can pull it up real quick. Again, let me move my window over. Okay, there we go. So here we have a polyurethane foam, but it's a polyurethane bushing, right? It's really simple bushing, and I've just got one injection location here. All we want to see is the nature and the types of results that are available to you. If you change your analysis type here to um, the chemical foam molding, right? Change it to that option. You'll notice that in the analysis sequence, it doesn't say fill and pack anymore. It just says flow, right? So flow, in fact, in this particular case, means fill and pack, of course. And so um, once you've done that, you can go into your process settings and modify all of this data in here, right? You can modify all of your process data, all of your process settings, and um, that's going that is going to give you access to these additional results over here. So you see things like bubble radius and bubble pressure, etc. So for instance, if you look at the fill time, like I said, this analysis is still running. If you look at this fill time here, you will see that it's visually, you will see that it is quite different, right? So the results real quick, right? So you can see that um, the fill time here is significantly longer than you would see for say a standard thermoplastic material. Um, and you also got, like I said, all of these additional results in here as well. So you can look at what used to be the frozen layer fraction, or not used to be, but what is the frozen layer fraction in thermoplastic analysis. You'll see it called the cured layer fraction. Notice it not calculating that just yet. You also got, things like the bubble radius, bubble pressure, number density, etc. All of that within this chemical foaming, or rather, uh, polyurethane foam environment. Okay. Now, additionally, of course, there are a whole bunch of other changes that have been made to the solver itself. Now, the solver um, has improved in accuracy. It is, the standard changes that keep getting made to the solver, that still holds, and um, the it's become more accurate. It's become faster in terms of being able to solve, and like I said, you also have a much larger material database now. I believe it's gone up even by even 1,000 or so different material grades since the last release. Okay, so really that is all we have. Just a really quick overview of all the different results that we have here, and all the different changes that we have here in Moldflow 2021. Now, some of these changes, like I mentioned, um, are applicable to both Advisor and to Insight. Uh, so the material database, for example, you will see that that material database, the exact same improved material database, show up inside Advisor and inside Insight. Um, Same thing with the solver improvements, right? So you'll have the solver enhancements both in Advisor and in Insight. So again, it's what's under the hood that has been improved, and the algorithms that they use to solve have definitely um, been improved as well. Any questions here at this point?
First question is, what's the release date of Moldflow 2021?
So it has been released. So it is already out. So if you um, do have access to it, if you have subscribed to Moldflow, you should have access to Moldflow 2021 as well, in addition to 2019. So you should be able to find it inside your Autodesk portal. If you don't, let us know. We can guide you through that and help you download and install that.
Yep, and then I guess that brings up another question that I wanted to make sure gets addressed to Nikhil is how do you get Moldflow? Is it part of the collection, or how is it licensed?
So Moldflow is not part of the collection. It is not part of the product design and manufacturing collection. It is a standalone product by itself. But what you do have within the collection is some technology from Moldflow Advisor inside Inventor. So you've got the Inventor mold design environment, which uses Moldflow Advisor technology. So if you do have the collection and you want to start dabbling um, with some Moldflow or injection molding, start with the mold design environment inside Inventor, and then you can build up to Moldflow Advisor or Insight from there.
Perfect, perfect.
And also,
Besides, oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say there's also a pretty detailed, in case you're not familiar with the the software itself and with what Moldflow can do and all the power that it does have. We do have a comparison matrix as well that we can share between Advisor, the different flavors of Advisor, the different flavors of Insight, and everything that they can each do.
Yep, absolutely. And our phone lines are always open, so feel free to give us a ring if you want some more information on some of these applications that you might not have seen before. Maybe you want to see if they fit into your workflow. Give any of us here at KETIV a call. We'll make sure you get connected to the right person.
Yep,
Um,
absolutely.
I think that's all we have for questions for today, Nikhil. Definitely appreciate you going over some of these improvements in Moldflow 2021. I know there are some workflow changes renaming of things, changing of stuff. Really appreciate you going over that with us so that those of us who are transitioning from 19 um, to 21 have an idea of where to get started and what improvements and changes have happened.
Yep, absolutely. And the if you even if you were using 19, it's not as if 2019 the release was the last thing that you saw. You will likely have updated, used the incremental updates, and seen some improvements from the 2019 version. Small little changes, bug fixes, things like that. Um, and again, if you are a user of Moldflow, then please try using the 2021 version. Um, you know, a lot of those changes and a lot of those bugs that you saw in the 2019 version have been fixed, and not just fixed, but also improved upon in the 2021 version.
Awesome, awesome. Again, thank you, Nikhil, so much for joining us today. Again, for all the attendees, thank you all for joining us each and every week. Definitely helps us put these all together. Um, Looks like we'll see you, Nikhil, next time we've got a mold flow or simulation webinar coming up. I know there's a few that we're talking about, so I'm sure we'll see you soon. But thank you again for today's webinar.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.